DeMaurice Smith has a new book out called Turf Wars.
Oh,
and
of course he does.
Well, there's a couple of interesting little tidbits from this book that have already been released because this book is set to come out in August, I believe.
I mean, you got to release the interesting tidbits to sell the book, right?
Of course.
Okay.
And who would you say if you were trying to sell a book? Who would be the first name you'd want to?
The first name, if I'm DeMaurice Smith and I want to sell a book, would be Roger Goodell.
Close.
I'm talking
about a player. If there was a player in the NFL that you knew would get some headlines.
If it was a player, I'm going with a quarterback, and I mean I could say the easy decision would be Tom Brady because that was during Tom Brady's time. You could throw Peyton Manning out there, but the media lightning rod has been Aaron Rodgers.
That is
so
correct.
I'm going to go with Aaron.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah.
That is correct. Aaron Rodgers featured first in one of these little
What'd he say?
Forwards that came out from DeMaurice Smith's book. Quote, "The god of Cheesehead Nation was isolated and dismissive," Smith writes regarding Rodgers' demeanor during a player meeting. "He sat in the back row of the meeting room, issuing loud sighs before standing for a dramatic exit. An incredible quarterback, to be sure, but an even more impressive antagonist." Smith also says this about Rodgers, quote, "In August 2021, my phone chirped with a text from Aaron Rodgers. 'Can you call me?' it read. Could I not run into traffic instead?" That from DeMaurice Smith talking about Aaron Rodgers. And I see that.
So he doesn't have any love for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I see that and I go, so this is the NFLPA executive director and one of your star players, and then you've got J.C. Tretter, who reportedly threw Russell Wilson under the bus in discussing Russell Wilson's contract negotiations, as that came out as part of the collusion evidence and testimony that was discovered a couple weeks ago. And they wonder why they lose every negotiation to the owners, because the NFLPA can't even get it together amongst themselves. You got the executive director getting a call from one of the stars of the league saying, "Can I walk into traffic instead?"
That's crazy.
And
that's you're leading the players.
Yes.
It's crazy, man.
J.C. Tretter, part of the NFLPA, and calls Russell Wilson the rhymes with wussy, reportedly, when the discussions of the negotiations about Russell Wilson's attempt to get a guaranteed contract done from Denver came. This is why you lose every time to the owners, because they're not on the same page. Yeah. Nobody's on the same page.
It's a lot of moving parts when you have, associations and unions and stuff like that. I mean, no one is going to get what they want. I find it more interesting that he chose to singularly pinpoint one person in particular and chose to use that as a leaked line or a promoted line to go read his book. That doesn't make me want to read his book anymore. That doesn't make DeMaurice Smith a more interesting figure to want to learn or read about. I mean, again, you're saying what the conclusion already is. So you're basically putting a book out there that talks about how you failed the players. Is that what it's about? Maybe that should be the title. If you put out a title, "I failed the players when I led the NFLPA." If you want to put that narrative out there, people will probably read it because they're going to want to know why.
I can remember Mark Schlereth. This was back in, I think it was 2017. DeMaurice Smith was sort of making the rounds, telling everybody that there was going to be some changes, things were going to be different in the new CBA, blah, 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 blah. And I remember Mark Schlereth just basically saying something along the lines of, "Yeah, okay, what are you going to get for the players? Less padded practices? what are you going to get for the players? Because they've been hearing this song and dance for years." And the reason why Rodgers was pissed is because he was one of the guys that was standing up and pounding the table saying, "Dude, this deal doesn't work for us. We're getting the shaft in this deal." And you've got the guy who's supposed to be the executive director of the NFLPA, who was making the rounds years in advance, telling everybody how they were going to do the right thing for the players. and a guy's calling you about things and wanting to have conversations and you're eye rolling him? Like, for what? Like this, you're supposed to be on the same side. And that was part. And then he talked about the collusion as well, too. This from DeMaurice Smith's book, Turf Wars, which LaVar would like to have edited.
Yeah,
I failed the players.
There you go.
Turf Wars, the story of how I failed the players.
Yeah, that's so generic. Turf Wars.
The story of how I failed you players.
Talk about driving an unnecessary narrative home. The hell?
So,
come on, DeMaurice. You do know you are a black man, right?
Damn!
You can't just be throwing stuff loosely out there like that. You got to be a little bit more strategic.
What would you recommend?
People love misdiagnosing things that are put out there. No, he's not a gangbanger that I know of. He's not talking about Southeast.
He's doing a signing in Compton.
Yeah,
coming up on Tuesday.
He ain't throwing up the rolling 60s sign. Turf Wars. The F you talking about,
Y'all got
man?
a problem here?
We got a problem?
What do you got a problem?
I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. Hey, man. Look, bro. The Turf Wars. I ain't seen you in no battles, my G. All I'm saying is, bro, make it make sense. If you want people to read your book, make it make sense. I had one exchange with DeMaurice. I thought he was a fine dude to talk to. You know, good-hearted guy, super smart, super intelligent dude. But I thought he was in over his head.
The official title here.
Yeah.
Turf Wars: The Fight for the Soul of America's Game.
Yeah, that's a little dramatic, man.
Yeah,
that's a tad bit dramatic. It's a tad bit dramatic.
Now, on the collusion case, this quote came out from DeMaurice Smith in his book. There were people inside our building. Again, the former NFLPA executive director. There were people inside our building who thought it was a waste of time. But internally, our office had evidence of collusion, including hearing from multiple sources that the league and teams were discussing their avoidance of fully guaranteed contracts. Sweet. It's nice to know that people inside the NFLPA building thought it was a waste of time. Am I crazy? This just makes it look even worse. Now, if you're
you know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say this because I think that this is a widely spread corporate type of. It could be prevalent amongst businesses. You build a company. The company has employees. Employee culture is employee culture. Company culture is company culture. When you get those employees and they make the amount of money that they make, generally speaking, very few people make a tremendously amount of a lot of money in what it is that they do. And some do make really good livings. Regardless, if you're one that doesn't make that much money, you're probably working and hoping that your consistency, your availability, and your cooperation is going to lead to you making more, you elevate. If you're already elevated, you don't want to lose that space. So more often than not, like one thing that I experience, and I understand it as an older person that does business from the business side of things, not from the talent side or the employee side of it, is that in some cultures, and this existed in the NFLPA, may still exist in the NFLPA, when you hear somebody say it's a waste of time, the reason why it's a waste of time is not because you can't push to get the things done that you want to get done, get the things accomplished that you want to get accomplished. It's that no one is willing to stick their neck out to do it. Who's going to be the one? If it doesn't go through or it doesn't work, it's something, there's fallout from it, who's going to be the one that pays the price for it? So when I hear somebody say this is a waste of time to be here, it's because the people that need to step up and be the catalyst for it probably won't. The people who delegated, that should have been the catalyst of stepping up to do it, that delegated to somebody else to do it, they're like, why the hell am I going to do it? Why would I do it? Why would you want me to put myself into the situation and try to push this forward where that's not in my pay grade? And if I do it and something goes wrong, I'm going to lose my job. More often than not, you'll find some people just don't even address it at all. Like, I'll get to that next week. Then you get to next week, something else comes up, I'll get to that next week. The corporate culture that I saw at the NFLPA is just a lot of, like, lip service, man. There are very few dudes like Nolan Harrison, good dude. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do that. My man Carl, what's Carl's? Dang, I'm blanking on Carl's last name.
Carl Lewis?
No, not Carl Lewis. Carl. Come on, Carl Francis. Carl Francis, a longtime dude at the NFLPA. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to do it. If you don't talk to competent people about the things that matter to you as a player, chances are you are getting the salesperson's pitch, which is manage expectation,
right,
under promise, with the chances, the possibility, although slight, the possibility that you will deliver, you will over deliver. Manage expectations. And that's what the NFLPA has always, to me, that's what it's always represented. Manage the expectation of the players. Make sure that you, because here's the thing. Yes, while you have to have it, by law, they represent the player. They're going to have a job, but it's not necessary for you to be here to have the job. You are replaceable. You are expendable. And so knowing that the job security that you have is based upon trying to make everybody around you happy with doing the least of what you can do, because that's not going to ruffle any feathers or shake any boats, anything like that. It is a very, very hard line to walk, especially if you are top of the people that are the decision makers for that union. So to me, it's like all lip service to me to begin with. If I were to read his book, I'd be like, bro, he's just sugarcoating everything. It's a sugarcoating of it, because if you were to really get into the deep down guts and the bowels of what this stuff has really been and truly has been exchanged conversation-wise, you'd end up like Gruden. You would end up like Gruden.